Robbie, I guess it's been sort of a strange last few weeks, haven't it? Going back to the Christmas Day postponement of the game at Carlisle on Boxing Day. As supporters will see, we're doing this on Zoom so we can sort of limit contact between everybody. Sort of just give us a summary of what's been going on these last couple of weeks.
Well, where do I start? On the back of our last game being at home and a really good performance and victory, we were all set to go again. And going into the game at Carlisle on Boxing Day, we were ready to play. We had a couple of cases, but nothing that would have stopped us fielding a team. And Carlisle, the Football League, informed us Christmas night that Carlisle were struggling with COVID cases and couldn't field the team, and that game got called. We came into train, I think, and then it caught us. We do everything right, do everything as well as we can. And unfortunately, it just went through the squad. Obviously, we got a couple of long-term injuries, which didn't help as well. Players having symptoms, some players being very unwell, some players feeling okay but testing positive. And it's just been a really difficult thing to manage all the way through, to be honest. And I knew at some point the potential of our club getting it was there because everybody else was, but it's not without trying to do the right things and make sure that we're all, being very vigilant in how we work, and hence why we're doing this on Zoom today.
How does the situation look at this moment in time now, heading into the weekend?
Still collecting a couple of positives. So we'll wait back to see, if they test positive moving forward, but we're certainly missing 2 or 3 players through that. We test every day in terms of the players who haven't had COVID, and like I say, we pulled up another 2 positives this morning. So it is what it is. We try and get on with it. We won't use it as an excuse. Everybody's in the same boat, and you just wait until 10 o'clock when all the boys are in and you get the results to see who's fit and available.
Was it even more frustrating having those games called off, given the win that we had before the break as well over Newport?
Well, yeah, like you say, we were okay to play against Carlisle, so that was the next game after Newport. I think as a manager, and I'm sure other managers will say the same thing, it's the not knowing day to day of what you're gonna get. You can accept injuries, you can accept an illness here and there, but literally your plans and your team can get altered at the drop of a hat. So, like I said, there's no way around it other than being really vigilant and doing everything that we possibly can to minimise the spread. But as you see throughout society, not just football, it's an ongoing problem that we just have to deal with.
In terms of sort of looking at moving away from the COVID situation, in terms of on the pitch and playing use, obviously George Broadbent has extended his loan deal until the end of the season. How pleased are you to have done that? Really
pleased, really good news for us. George has stepped in and out of the team in his first part of the loan, got to grips with senior football. He's a very, very exciting prospect. I really believe that. I've seen enough of young talent in the past to know that George is right up there with some of the best players I've worked with in that age group. His physical attributes are outstanding. Hopefully, with the extended time he's going to spend with us, his game time will increase, and he begins to have that confidence to do it on the pitch. He's shown sometimes in games some really good aspects. I think back to the Swindon game where we scored a really good goal. And other games he's been a little bit inconsistent, which I'm sure he'll openly admit. But his attitude to training is fantastic. We're really pleased to keep him here. It was certainly on my list of priorities to do.
I know when Abraham Udu signed his contract extension a few months back, you sort of mentioned that you want to sort of kind of keep a group of players together if you can. Obviously, George is only on loan until the end of this season, but sort of extending that deal, does that kind of come under the same category as trying to keep players in the group together?
Well, obviously he's not our player, so at the end of the season he'll go back to Sheffield United, so it's a little bit different. We've got players that I'd like to sit down and offer new contracts to, and on some cases we have. On other cases it'll just come with a little bit more time. Obviously we're in January now, which is it's not a good place to be for a manager. I don't like January. I never did when I was a coach. A lot of upheaval potentially, but we're in a strong position as a club. and we'll do business on our terms.
So one other sort of loan sign, if you like, has expired. Corey O'Keefe's gone back to Mansfield, as they confirmed earlier this week. What your thoughts on his situation and what might happen next?
So we're in dialogue with Mansfield and with Corey and his representatives. Corey knows where we are in terms of wanting him to come back. It's more complicated than that. Like all good relationships, there's little hurdles that you have to overcome. We're still very, very hopeful, but at the same time, exploring other opportunities to bring players into that position, because as a football club, we need to make sure we're proactive in what we're doing. So appreciate it's a sensitive one, but you know, we should know more, certainly moving into that part of this week of where we stand with that.
And obviously we're only a few days into January itself, so there's a lot of time yet to come for sort of moves in and out as well. So what are your sort of views on the transfer window and sort of the plans for the next few weeks, if you like?
So we've obviously got targets in mind that we'd like to bring in. Also being reactive to anything that we've got players that other teams will want, and we need to be reactive in terms of covering that if we decide to sell players. So it's going to be busy behind the scenes. Whether it's busy in terms of incomes and outgoings, that's yet to be seen. But certainly I've had in my mind a couple of players or positions and profiles that I'd like to bring in to help the players that are already here.
In terms of on the pitch and away from the sort of the transfer side of it, Colchester this weekend, what are your thoughts on that game heading into that one down there?
Yeah, it's going to be a strange game. I know they played the other night in the EFL. I think we haven't played for quite a while now. Obviously, we're assessing the players physically in terms of those players that have had COVID. You know, how are they in terms of you know, have they fully recovered? Are they still carrying over a little bit of an after hangover from the COVID situation? So we're assessing that daily. It's been really difficult today to find anywhere to train. That was a problem this morning, but we managed to find somewhere and do a session. Monday, Tuesday was excellent. The boys who came back in, absolutely fantastic. So we're expecting as we always do, a difficult game. I always say, I think if we perform and play to our best, I think we're a match for anybody in the division. But we need to do that, and we need to find that consistency. And that's probably one of the biggest frustrations of the games being called off after Newport. Purely from a manager's point of view, to build that momentum would have been really helpful, but we've got to start again. And the first opportunity to do that's at Colchester. Obviously,
it's an overnight trip. I know previously you've sort of trained on the way down, haven't you? You training before you set off tomorrow, and what does the plan look like for tomorrow and tomorrow night and Saturday?
Yeah, what I would have liked to do is what we've done previously and go use my contacts in terms of going into other clubs. Unfortunately, the COVID situation won't allow that. You know, everybody's locked down. You can't go and use other facilities. So we'll train up here in Rochdale and then set off down to Colchester later in, early afternoon to try and avoid any traffic.